Well, hello there. I'm Mitch Lamore. I am the chief bottle washer, janitor, bookkeeper, fabricator, welder, designer for Cycles Lamore and fabrication. I build some of the best custom-built bicycle frames that I think are out there, and I also design and build all the Kettle Masters products, the Premier, the Classic, the Grandmaster, and all the tables and sifting tables and concession tables that go with that. So I have a lot of fun making and designing and creating new products. What I want to show you today is the new Kettle Prodigy, Kettle Master Prodigy. Let me give you a quick little tour of my new baby that I just created. Here we go. You ready? Ta-da! There it is. Now it's sitting with its big brother, the Grandmaster sifting table. I'm not going to focus quite so much on that right at the moment, but I want you to notice how it's designed so it fits in nicely. You can use the Prodigy smaller table, which is this one here, or you can use the big one and everything in between. But what I want to show to you is notice that the nice clean lines on this. Notice how it's round. Well, this isn't just round for just style and good looks. There's more to it than that. You'll notice that since it's not square, I can move my foot around and walk around the machine without kicking the table. And with my square designs that I was making, like the Classic, you would hit your feet on it. And it's not a big deal, but it did make it kind of nice to put these legs behind it. It also makes it very stable. You'll also notice that there is an electronic ignition switch here, which I'll talk a little bit more about. Took me a while to figure out how I wanted to do that. You have the gas lines here. Push it down on, push it back up is off. Pretty simple. You hook your gas line in here and put it into one of your propane tanks like I have over here, and you can start cooking. So we also have on the outside, you'll notice how the tables are hooked together. Just a simple bolt, nothing too fancy. You don't even need to make it tight. I use a wing nut on the other side. All it does is keep the table from moving around too much and keeps it lined up with the Prodigy popper with the table, so it stays in line, and when you get in a hurry it doesn't go sliding around the place. And it also has locking casters. Notice the locking casters. That way it stays put. You also notice here a vent. This vent is, you have to have some way for the heat to come out of the machine. So it goes underneath here, comes out on top. Now let's open up this thing. Oh, before I mention that, you'll notice how this is nicely polished. Makes it nice. You'll notice that the rim, or the kettle corn, sits down flush. There's no gaps, no major gaps. So it stays a little cleaner. It's bolted on with some stainless steel bolts, and it is very, very stable. One thing about 80-quart poppers is they're generally open. All you have is the kettle and then an open area here, and the heat, you got 500 degrees of heat or more coming up out of the burner past the kettle into the burner, into the person who is popping's face. That's a lot of heat coming out, and if you're working in an area that's really hot, like a fairground that's 75 to 105 degrees, you will notice the heat. And at the end of even 4 or 5 hours, and particularly a 9 or 10 hour day of popping, you will be dead tired, and it's nice to keep that heat away from you. Now there's another little feature here. You'll notice here we have the push bars are accessible, and these are bent. They're not just cut and squared off. Not a big deal, but it makes it a little bit more attractive. And when you have an attractive equipment, you have an attractive booth. And when you have an attractive booth, people value your product better, and they're willing to buy it more likely than if they didn't have an attractive booth. Now you're going to notice as I lift this, let's see if you can catch it. You may have heard it. You see that little piece? What little piece, you say? This little piece. It just automatically slid down. Let's get you a different look on it. This little leverage system here has a purpose. And this little leverage here wants to slide down, and you'll notice when I pull back on the table, I'm pulling back, It will not come back on your hand. If you happen to have your hand here, somebody's hand, you won't have a 50-pound bowl come crashing down on your hand. We're the only ones that have that. Now you'll also notice there's some hardware that I have some brackets welded here and here that don't have anything to it. Now I made those because if a person ever wants to, particularly if they're doing a lot of popping, they might want to have a spring system included in it at additional cost on the Prodigy. If you do, I have the hardware there, you're ready to link it up. But you don't really need it on the Prodigy because the bowl doesn't weigh as much as the Grandmaster. The Grandmaster is 160, actually almost 170 quart bowl, and at the end of a day it's pretty heavy to lift, especially if you have younger kids trying to help you. But the Prodigy, not that big of a deal. It's a lot lighter, and it's kind of right on the borderline whether you need one or not. But if you do, we have the option for you there. Now I also notice here that I have this, you can't see it too well, that's why I wrote with my Sharpie, NSF. This is a NSF certified bowl. We buy those from a company back east, and they've turned out to be quite good, and they customize stuff for us. You also notice that you go from nice shiny aluminum to this kind of gray coating here. Well, this coating here is there for a reason, and you'll notice that I have it on everything on the inside. Everything except the burner itself has a coating. You'll notice that the black pipe has been painted and coated with this material, this coating. And it also has kind of a roughness to it, and that's because there's beads inside of it. These beads, let's take you over here real quick, give you a little explanation of the product. This bag, I got a small sample here because I wanted to test it out years ago. It actually has a grainy feel to it. It looks like flour. It kind of feels a little bit like sugar as far as how granulated it is. And the reason for that is that it's mixed in with the paint. This coating, the paint itself, I hesitate to call it paint, but the coating has a heat-resistant temperature of 1200 degrees. It's actually closer to 1400 degrees. But this 1400 degrees, 1200 degree coating will protect the inside of the metal from it getting too hot and melting. Most people who use aluminum and even stainless, it will distort the metal, okay? And we put that coating in there so your aluminum will last longer. Aluminum is lighter, easier to move around, and a lot less expensive than stainless steel. So it helps us provide a product to you that is not as expensive as I made this whole thing out of stainless. Perhaps we should do that someday, but even then, even on the stainless, I would put this coating on it. Now it's not just heat resistant. That little ceramic beads that I put in are mixed in with the heat temperature or the heat paint coating, and those beads are the same beads that are used on the paint for the space shuttle that works for NASA. They also have a high temperature paint coating that they put on the space shuttles, so when they have re-entry into the atmosphere, the paint doesn't burn off and the astronauts inside don't get overheated. That coating, those little tiny beads that I was showing you, provide a insulation value of R29. Now your house has insulation in the 2x4s and the 2x6s that are in your house. Most R 2x4s have an insulation value of R11. 2x6s have an R insulation value of around R19, a little bit more than that, depending on the house, whether you use 2-foot centers or 16-ounce centers and things like that. But you have an R11, R19, and this paint, this coating, with the ceramic beads combined with the high temperature paint, has an R value, get this, of R29. R29. Now what that translates to is you can have 500 degrees in here while you're popping. Remember, it's 85, 95, 105 outside, and if you don't have any insulation out here, this gets to be, 100 degrees, 200 degrees, and you can't touch it until it cools down.
Well, with R29 insulation on the inside, this will be cold, and if not cold, at least not hot to the touch. So if you're in short pants, and I recommend you wear long pants all the time when you're working around any kind of heat or any kind of oils. But if you happen to be in short pants, or a customer or a friend of yours, even a worker, comes in with short pants and touches the sides, they're not going to get burned as if they didn't have, like they would if they didn't have this. So that's an added feature to it. Also, because the machine is cooler to the person working the popcorn, they're not going to be as fatigued by the end of the day because they don't have this heater on them on a hot day, which makes a huge, huge difference. Now, give you another quick little explanation here. You'll notice that I have this button here. Now, this button works when I press it. You got to press it firmly. But you see what's going on here? It's firing a spark. I didn't press it enough. There you go. Now, you only need one spark when the bowl is down to light that frame. And it just booms. But it makes it very easy. You just sit there and you hold it for a few seconds, just like it is right there, and just bam, 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 bam. That thing just lights right away. So, that's why we have that. Give you a quick under look here. Now, you see under here, I have that covered with an asbestos wire. You got cool air coming from underneath, helping to keep that wire clear. Now, originally we thought, well, we got to keep this thing out of the heat, so how do we do that? Well, we put it inside the tubes. Well, what was happening? It was the wire, the electrical current was somehow shorting on the conduit. So I have it going underneath here inside on a painted surface with the R29 to keep the wire. So it's kind of acting as a conduit by itself. And you'll notice that the asbestos covered wiring covering, the heat resistant cover, isn't touching anything. Because I found that if I touched the metal, it would short out. So this is there just to keep the wire that much more cooler so you don't have a wire melting. And having it droop down like this was, I found, the best way to do it. So, we're back up here. And when we close this, what I do is I lift, whoop, there it is. Lift up on there, I bring it up. Let's see if I can do this. I have to use my elbow since I'm holding the camera with my hand. And I push on it. And whoop, my elbows help. There we go. There. Well, I could almost do it with one hand. But there it is. The Prodigy. The pride of the Kettle Corn Masters Army. Small, efficient, high quality, and I'm sure you're going to love it. Thank you very much. I hope you like your Prodigy as much as I do. This has been one of my funnest projects I've built so far. Thank you. Bye-bye. See you on other videos.